Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I've got another installment in a new series, 50 Years of Horror Fiction. Alright, so originally when I made the first video, I've actually got a couple of changes right now to this. Just little tiny tweaks or whatever. So when I originally made the first video, it was called 50 Years of Horror, and it was the year 1972. Today I'm going to be featuring 1973, 5 books from 1973. However, from now on, the series is going to be known as 50 Years of Horror Fiction. And the reason being is because Mr. Morningstar commented, and he said, is this going to be a books or movies, or is it going to be a mix? It's going to be mainly books. That is what I'm going to be talking about, is books. That's why I've changed it to horror fiction. Now, if you will notice the thumbnail, though, what I've done is I'm going to take from each year, I'm going to take a still from a horror movie that was released in the year that I'm talking about in the particular video, and I'm going to feature it as the background, kind of fade it out a little bit. And it's not going to be like one where you're going to go, as soon as you see it, you're going to go, oh, I know that movie because I know the star and everything, or anything like that. It's just going to be a little more obscure, at least I hope so. But I know you guys that are horror fans out there, you're going to look at this and you're going to go, I know what that movie is. So just to have a little fun, kind of combine a little bit of both of them. Like I said, it's mainly fiction. It's going to be what I'm going to be talking about. But like I said, each time I'm going to try to feature a horror movie from whatever particular year I'm going to be talking about. All right. So that being said, let's get underway. So first book for 1973 that we have got is Demon Seed, and this is by Dean Koontz. And actually, it was actually Dean R. Koontz back then. He dropped the R. In the privacy of her own home and against her will, Susan Harris will experience an inconceivable act of terror. She will become the object of the ultimate computer's consuming obsession to learn everything there is to know about human flesh. And that is Demon Seed, and that is by Dean Koontz, or Dean R. Koontz, whichever one you want to use. And this was actually made into a movie. I think the star of the movie was Julie Christie. I may be wrong, though, but I think it was Julie Christie, all right? Okay, next up, and here's another one with the word demon, except this is demons. Demons by Daylight, and this is by Ramsey Campbell. Ramsey Campbell, known for his Lovecraftian mastery of the horror fiction genre, presents a collection of short stories and supernatural tales set in the disconcerting world of what seems like our reality. But there, familiarity stops dead, changing into the terror of the unknown, the unreal, exploring uncharted recesses of the mind. It is this terrifying juxtaposition of fact and fantasy that throws doubt even on one's own sanity, leaving the reader wondering. Rooted in the haunts and byways of London and Liverpool, his tales are peopled with the restless youth of today, the atmosphere of today's world. It's this uncanny element that makes his story so captivating and spine-chilling. But these familiar elements of life give way to the unknown. Demonic rites, psychotic disorders, the possession of powers way beyond the boundaries of understanding. Campbell searches the far reaches of the mind, and the reader will not easily forget the sights and sounds, the feelings and hints, the true horror of all that he reveals. And that is Demons by Daylight, and that is by Ramsey Campbell. All right. Okay, this one next up, this was made into a movie called Bug. And if I remember correctly, it starred Bradford Dillman. I don't remember who the female lead was. Anyway, this is the Hephaestus Plague, and this is by Thomas Page. Out of the brimstone and hellfire of the North Carolina sandhills comes a simple, deadly challenge to man's supremacy on earth. The Hephaestus Plague. Blind, black, armored, and unstoppable. A fire-making beetle with an amazing scientific secret. A secret that the reclusive, monomaniacal Professor Parmenter is obsessed with sharing, and an insect whose biological destiny he is determined to fulfill without regard for the human consequences. That is the Hephaestus Plague, and that is by Thomas Page. Okay. Alright, next up we have got Tales of Horror and the Supernatural, Volume 2. This is by Arthur Machen. A new collection of blood-blanching chillers by the famed authority on evil and the occult. Arthur Machen, a longtime connoisseur of the mystical forces of the supernatural, spins his tales of horror with a bizarre, shadowy quality certain to ensnare any reader's mind. Machen was a relentless and educated seeker of truths in the sinister world beyond this life. His personal obsession was to delve into the very core of the malign, elemental forces that destroy modern man. As a teller of tales, Machen was a master of technique. His craft and precision of language evoked dark, lingering vibrations from the ancient world, and it is a frightening world where fiendish spells suffocate unsuspecting souls. Are you strong enough for this voyage backward into the fathoms of evil? And that is Tales of Horror and the Supernatural, Volume 2 by Arthur Machen. Alrighty, and finally, we have Triad, and this is by Mary Leader. With the first few troubling lacunae in her days, Bronwyn Eriksson begins a nightmare journey that will draw her to the edge of madness and jeopardize her marriage and life itself. And the deteriorated old mansion poised high above Lake Michigan, which she and her husband have undertaken to renovate in an attempt to make a new start after the tragic crib death of their son, will prove no sanctuary. In the lonely nights when Alan is away consulting for his budding civil engineering firm, the wind off the lake moans through the old-fashioned speaking tubes in every room, following Branwen in her restless wanderings and whispering a name that haunts her, Rhiannon. Is Branwen right in believing that these voices that mock her, assume her identity, and urge her towards self-destruction are simply imaginary projections from the subconscious sparked by a long repressed guilt for a childhood tragedy? Or is there a darker explanation? Is Rhiannon reaching out from the grave to possess her? And that is Triad, and that is by Mary Leader. And whenever I heard the name Rhiannon, I'm just sitting there thinking, gosh, it would be so cool to like have the opening part of that song, the one by Fleetwood Mac, playing in the background just a little bit. But I'm like, yeah, I would get a copyright infringement, so I can't do that. Anyway, that is 5 books from the year 1973. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and until next time, take care and stay scared. Bye-bye.